beauty of baseball is that time can be bargained for. One foul ball can buy another pitch. One more pitch could become one hit, which could turn into a go-ahead run that reaps a must-win. The Dodgers are now playing for one more day and will deal shrewdly to stay alive.
I got one of the best pitchers in baseball pitching. If we come out here and play well and get a win, I probably got the best pitcher in baseball pitching the next day.
For the Cardinals, the stakes are greater. They play not for one day, but for one more series. The difference between the two isn't what they are playing for. It's the number of chances they have to do it. It's Game 5.
Wednesday afternoon in Los Angeles. The Dodgers trying to save their season. The Cardinals trying to punch their World Series ticket. 2013 National League Championship Series coverage on TBS is presented by the Venture Card from Capital One. Moments away from the start of Game 5 with the Cardinals leading the Dodgers 3 games to 1. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. I'm Ernie Johnson. This is Ron Darling. This is Cal Ripken. It's a chance for the Cardinals to go to the World Series for the 4th time in a 10-year span. In Game 4, Iron Man, they did everything they didn't do in Game 3.
Well, we certainly highlighted all the mistakes that the Cardinals made in Game 3, so it's only fair we show them how great they played in Game 4. Turned 3 double plays, nothing better than this one. Cosma to Carpenter with Guigan between his legs, he turns it. And then in the 9th inning, when they're starting to threaten a little bit, this double play kills all the momentum. But here's the big play right here. Martinez to Cosman picks off Punto, takes all the air out of this stadium, and all the enthusiasm is gone. Part of winning in the postseason is executing, and they did a wonderful job.
Also, for the first time in Game 4, the Cardinals went deep. Matt Holliday with a bomb, and then Shane Robinson with a pinch hit homer. Meantime, the Dodgers department, what'd you come up with?
Dodger fans, I've got a great scenario for you. What's the reality? Reality is you're pitching a guy who won a Cy Young Award 4 years ago, and the reality is the game he pitched in Game 1 was outstanding. 8 innings, only gave up 4 hits, a couple of runs, and struck out 10. He's a guy that can be so good at times that he can take the bats out of the Cardinals' hands. And if you do have him somehow, some way, get through this ball game, you're going to the best pitcher in baseball in Game 6.
Zack Greinke, Joe Kelly, same pitching matchup as we had in Game 1, which went 13 innings. So today in Los Angeles, one of 2 things will happen. The series will either end or it'll get very interesting. The first pitch, Game 5, next. We welcome you back to Chavez Ravine. Moments away from the start of Game 5. It's 82 degrees. Beautiful day here in Los Angeles, with the Cardinals leading the series 3-1. Today's batting order brought to you by the Venture Card from Capital One. Matt Carpenter leads it off, then Carlos Beltran, Matt Holliday, who homered last night, hitting third. Then it's Matt Adams. Yadier Molina hits fifth, followed by John Jay. David Freese, the third baseman, hits seventh. Pete Kozma is back in as the starting shortstop, hitting eighth. And Joe Kelly does the pitching. Zack Greinke on the mound for the Dodgers.
You know, Zack might be the most enigmatic person to get to know socially, but he doesn't speak with his words. He speaks with that powerful right arm. 106 regular season wins and just outstanding in Game 1.
10 strikeouts in that one. Only walked a batter, worked 8 innings, gave up 4 hits, and threw 104 pitches. How about the Dodger defense, Iron?
Yeah, the defense for the Dodgers today doesn't look too much different. You got Crawford in left, Ethier in center, and Yasiel Puig with his great arm in right. You move to the infield, up the middle, you got Hanley Ramirez, Mark Ellis. You got Juan Uribe on the corner, and you got Adrian Gonzalez with his sweet hands over there at first base. Behind the plate, you got A.J. Ellis, and on the mound, you got Zack Greinke.
You know, defensively, I'm just thinking, I'm looking up in the sky. I can't see anything. There's no clouds. It's a high sky. There's nothing to really reflect where the ball's going to be. It makes it difficult today, right?
On pop-ups, you definitely have to start to come together as a group and start to say, hey, do I see it or do I don't see it? But yes, it's a high sky, difficult for high fly balls.
And so the message to both sides: run everything out.
It's not bad as bad as Oakland. Oakland was one of the hardest skies to field under, but when it's like this, yes, you got to make sure you're a little paranoid. Group your infielders together.
Matt Carpenter steps in to lead off Game 5 against Zack Greinke. We are underway, and we certainly thank you for being with us today on TBS. Carpenter just 1 hit in the first series against the Pirates. 4 for 34 in the postseason, hitting 118. And that's a looper that's going to fall for a leadoff single. In Game 1, Greinke set down the first 8. The first hit he allowed was to the pitcher Joe Kelly.
It's just like a little inside-out swing. Hits it a little fat, but when you make a good swing and a good plane, good things like that happen.
The longer they play, the Cardinals, Matt Carpenter's starting to come back to the fold, isn't he? Getting some walks, getting some base hits.
Now here's Carlos Beltran. Takes upstairs 1-0. Beltran, the guy who knocked in the 2 runs off of Greinke with 2 outs in Game 1, and then later delivered the game winner in the 13th. Two balls and no strikes.
What makes it difficult for a pitcher in an elimination game like Zack Greinke has here is that you feel the burden of your teammates. You feel the burden of the experience. You can see how he's pitched after a Dodger loss, but this is the postseason. And if you don't get it together early, you start to get a little paranoid that you're going to be taken out.
Three balls and no strikes to Beltran. Home plate umpire today is Ted Barrett. Greg Gibson at first, Jerry Davis at second, Mark Carlson at third, Mike Everett and Bruce Dreckman down the lines. So a leadoff single and now a 3-0 count to Beltran. A 4-pitch walk, and they're at first and second with nobody out.
Yeah, I know it's really, really early, but those 4 pitches, they weren't even close. High fastball, low fastball, 2-0 cutter or slider in the dirt, and then misses wide on the 3-0 pitch.
It's interesting. We know that Greinke has worked with a sports psychologist. As soon as he had that walk, he kind of had a moment by himself on that mound, trying to get himself back into this ball game and throwing strikes.
Now here's Matt Holliday, who had been hitless in the series until last night. Broke out in a big way in the third with a 2-run homer. Swings at the first pitch, fouls it back, and it will be out of play. They talked to Shane Robinson, who also homered in last night's game, and said when Holliday hit this, he was screaming for the entire 2 minutes that ball was in the air. It was a bomb into the bullpen and left. Holliday 2 for 16 in the series. Misses with the 0-1, count even.
I found it was interesting. Zack Greinke in game 1 in St. Louis was using all of his pitches in the first inning. This has really been his cutting type of action on his fastball. That's all he's been throwing. They were an early and often team in the regular season, not in the post.
Runners lead from first and second. In the air to left center field. Long run. Crawford will not get there, and the bases will be loaded. Runners had to hold. That ball was hanging up, but Crawford and A.J. are converging, and neither could get there.
It's a full swing from a real powerful guy. If it doesn't really hit it on the right part of the bat, and the outfielders, maybe with the high sky, don't have a chance to actually judge that right away, and it falls in for a bloop hit.
I'm not saying it's his play, but Hanley Ramirez gave up on that ball immediately, and you talked about groups of infielders and outfielders getting together and all trying to make the play.
So the bases are loaded with nobody out here in the first. Matt Adams, the cleanup hitter, steps in. He's just 1 for 15 in the series, and he's in a big spot here in game 5. Dodgers will look for the double play with the infield back.
When Hanley starts to point it out, I think it's a little out there, a little bit too far. Yeah. But again, part of grouping is pointing it out so everyone sees it and everyone has a chance to work together.
The 0-1. Off speed, missed, ball and a strike. Zack Greinke, so solid in that first start in game 1. Immediately in a jam with the bases loaded and nobody out. Carpenter, Beltran, Holliday, the runners. Adams, a big guy with great power. 2-1.
Hear that grunt by Greinke on that curveball. You know, all good pitchers, you try to get them early in the game, but the Cardinals going for the knockout punch.
If you're the Cardinals, you still want to be a little conservative if you're the base runners right now. The worst thing that could happen is a line drive at any one of the guys and you get doubled off. So you have to take your lead accordingly.
The 2-1. Fouled away. Right at the Dodger dugout. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Adams has a home run in this postseason. It came in the clincher against the Pirates. Broke open a tight game with a 2-run shot.
Whatever your strikeout pitch is to Matt, that's what you want to be throwing right now.
He strikes out Matt Adams. One down with the bases loaded.
Zack Greinke has so many different strikeout pitches. But here's that big hook. 77 miles an hour, breaks it down out of the strike zone.
Asked and answered by Zack Greinke. You know what's really interesting about this? This is so important, this first inning for the Dodgers and for Zack Greinke. He is not from the stretch. He's pitching from the windup, trying to get best stuff on the baseball.
Now here's Yadier Molina.
With that strikeout, you put yourself in a position with one pitch, one ground ball, you can get out of this jam.
Cut right through a fastball. It's 0-1.
94 with that cut, up and away.
I don't think I've ever seen a pitcher that can lift the ball club by loading the bases in the first inning.
Chevrolet pitch tracks. Molina hitting .360. Went 2 for 3 against him in Game 1 of this series.
When Zack is at his best, he can dot that outside corner anytime he wants to.
Cardinals lead from every bag as Molina waits on Zack Greinke. Two balls and a strike. A.J. Ellis to his knees to keep that in front.
When he won the Cy Young Award in 2009, Zack Greinke was a strikeout pitcher, wipe you out kind of pitcher. He's changed since then to a guy that is more of a control pitcher, has 4 or 5 different pitches. But I think in this first inning, he's trying to go back to 2009.
There are your runners with 1 out here in the first. Two and two.
You can hear the grunt of Greinke as he tries to kind of extricate himself from the mess that's happened here in the first.
That's why strikeout pitchers are really important in the postseason. You can take matters into your own hands. It looks like Zack's trying to do just that.
Molina counters with a .373 average with runners in scoring position this year.
This is where the Cardinals excelled in the regular season. Check swing and fouled off.
I mean, he is dropping and driving right now.
Don Mattingly hoping Zack Greinke can hand the ball to Clayton Kershaw in a Game 6 in St. Louis. Greinke trying to work his way out of first inning trouble here in Game 5. Here comes the 2-2. Rounded to third. That's a fair ball. Uribe steps on the bag. The throw to first. Double play. There's one. And watch Gonzalez, one of the smoothest fielders around the bag at first. you by the venture card from Capital One. And as you look at that order, remind you that the Dodgers pulling out all the Hollywood stops. They had Will Ferrell actually doing the PA as he introduced the starting lineups today. Familiar names, you've seen him whole series long. And Zack Greinke doing the pitching for the Dodgers. Boy, he escaped big-time trouble in the first, and now Joe Kelly on the mound for St. Louis.
You know, Joe Kelly started in the bullpen this year. He vied for that 5th spot with Shelby Miller. Shelby Miller won 15 games, but Joe Kelly now making his 3rd postseason start.
Carl Crawford, Mark Ellis, the 1-2 hitters for the Dodgers. And Crawford hitting .314 this postseason with 3 home runs and 5 runs batted in. Strides to the plate in the bottom of the first. Cal, that was huge in the first. You got bases loaded, nobody out, and you get out of it.
When you hope for the ground ball, and it wasn't your typical double play ball. Uribe does a nice play making it, and then he throws the ball low. I thought A-Gon over there did a wonderful job of reading that and leaning back and judging the long hop and making the play. Good team defensive play.
25-year-old Joe Kelly, the Game 1 starter in this series, goes low and inside to Crawford.
9 wins in the second half. No one had any more. I mean, most starting pitchers, and Zack Greinke, you want to inspire your team by striking out the side in the first inning, not loading the bases, but he did.
I don't know exactly what that was that Yadier Molina saw behind the batter's box, but he put it in his pocket, and here we go. Ball and a strike. Kelly pitched in 37 games, 15 of those were starts, and went 10-3 as a starter. In that Game 1, went 6 innings, 6 hits, 2 earned runs, and threw 95 pitches.
That first game was pretty interesting for Joe Kelly. It was kind of a bend, not break kind of start.
Had a little trouble controlling his energy and his emotions, but was able to pitch through it. Gave them 6 big innings.
Crawford in that game went 1 for 3, and he's 3 for 6 career against Kelly. Adrian Gonzalez waiting his turn. He's the cleanup hitter. And how many times has he made that pick at first to save a run? Did it in the first. Crawford works the count full here, leading off the Dodger first.
I was just going to comment, he's so good at not getting out there. Many first basemen want to go charge after the ball. He's one of the best at waiting to see the ball, and you can't make that play unless you don't get a good long look.
Here's another look at the double play that ended the first.
And here's the bounce. Close to the edge of the grass, but he uses his body to buy himself a little longer look at the baseball.
Another payoff pitch from Kelly to Crawford, and he spoils that one. Okay to use the word spoil there, Cal. I know you're not a big fan.
Well, I don't believe anybody just fouls it off intentionally just to say, let me give me another pitch. It's a tough pitch. He's battling. He takes a late swing at it, but it does give him another pitch.
So he spoiled it. Here's the 3-2. The second. Easy play for Carpenter. 1 down here in the first.
Spoiling a pitch or wasting a pitch as a pitcher. You're right. They're the 2 buzzwords for me.
I know what buttons to push with you. Mark Ellis steps in. Hitting .294 in the series. He has a double and a triple. On a line, but right into the glove of Pete Kozma. 2 up, 2 down.
Shortstop number 13, Kenley Ramirez.
Mark goes up there really aggressive. Wants to hit the first thing hard he sees. He does, but he can't guide it. Right at Pete Kozma.
Well, here's Hanley Ramirez. And you can go back to Hanley Ramirez first at bat of this series. And the first time that Joe Kelly faced him. And this is a pitch that has become kind of the theme of this series because it caught Ramirez in the ribs. That one was a little tight. Wasn't the fastball, it was a breaking pitch that stayed inside.
Yeah, from Hanley's perspective, he didn't know it was a breaking ball right away. Starts right at him in the same spot. Breaks back, doesn't get to the inside corner.
Hanley taking all the way there. Very interesting.
2 balls and no strikes. He stood there with the bat on his shoulder, no intention of offering at it. Fouled away. 2 balls and a strike. But getting back to that story, if you're just new to the series, hairline fracture of a rib on the left side for Ramirez caused him to miss the second game of the series, came back in game 3, played game 4, but had to leave early. And here it is, game 5, and he's in the starting lineup with a short turnaround, night game followed by a day game.
And that was after being the hottest hitter in the division series against the Braves.
Just some of the numbers that indicate what he was able to do in 86 games in the regular season. A load of extra base hits in that NLDS win over Atlanta.
It's interesting to me, Lynn threw one up and into Puig yesterday, and the reaction was he didn't come back inside again. And so far, there's no indication he's going to come in with the fastball to Hanley. And when you get 2 outs, good hitters, you need to go inside on them. We haven't seen any indication of trying to go in with the fastball.
Here comes the 2-2. Just missed, count full, 3-2.
And you could totally use that to your advantage as a hitter. You start to think, okay, yeah, I got drilled, but they're not coming back in here. They're being a little bit more careful putting the ball out over the plate. Gives you a better idea to go out there and look for a pitch to drive out over the plate.
Might see a 3-2 breaking pitch here, though.
Ramirez struck out 3 times last night and takes a called third strike to end the first. 3 up, 3 down for Joe Kelly. We head to the second. I've never flown one, but I assume this is a perfect day to fly. Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Everything Goodyear has learned making tires for superior performance inspires what we roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven. Top half of the second inning here in Los Angeles. Cardinals threatened big time in the first. A couple of singles and a walk, loaded the bases with nobody out but a strikeout and a double play. Got Greinke and the Dodgers out of it. 1-0 to John Jay. Jay, Freese, and Kozma due up here in the second. The 1-1 from Greinke. Look out. Ball hit hard into the stands. 1-2. Cardinals hitting just .148 as a team through 4 games, yet leading the series 3-1. Dodgers .223 as a club. To check on the 1-2. That's a strikeout. And 2-3 to complete it.
Well, it's that wipeout curveball we talk about from Zack Greinke. Starts it inside. Left-handed hitters love the ball down and in. So you give them the appearance that the ball's down and in, and then break it out of the strike zone.
Second strikeout for Greinke, and here's David Freese. Swinging at the first pitch into right center. And Puig with plenty of room for the second half. Now here's the number 8 hitter, Pete Kozma, who did not start in Game 4. Descalso did, but he made the most of the time he was in there last night. A couple of sterling plays defensively, including that pickoff of Nick Punto at second. One of those plays that absolutely turns this place into a vacuum. It was, couldn't hear yourself think. And he just sucked the air out of the place. 0-1.
It went from blue towels that they were waving to red lights of the cars leaving after that one moment.
The 0-1. No balls and 2 strikes. Here's the play last night with Kozma taking the throw from the young pitcher Martinez.
Late in the ball game, down by 2. Nick was going to take an aggressive posture and try to steal the bag. Got caught a little too far off.
Mike Matheny made sure to mention that Carlos Martinez had started out as a shortstop as a young player. So he has great feet, the ability to make that snap throw.
And a little touch, because sometimes if a pitcher has a 98 and sinking, that's what you get at second base too, and it's hard to catch that one.
Ball and 2 strikes to Kozma. And we're even at 2-2. The pitcher Joe Kelly on deck. There's Kelly, who wears the glasses when he pitches but does not when he hits, because he says he sees the ball too well. Tapped up toward third. Greinke quickly off the mound and throws him out. A stress-free second inning for Greinke, as opposed to the first. We're scoreless.
Back to sunny LA, whether you're laying out at Santa Monica Beach or patrolling the field at Dodger Stadium, the bright, radiant sky makes it difficult to keep your eyes open. Sunglasses everywhere, from the prescription Oakleys that Joe Kelly is wearing on the mound to help locate the signs from Yadier Molina, to the black iridium that Andre Ethier wears in center field to cut down on the glare. Now, very few players wear glasses when they are at bat, and here is why. The glasses cut down on the glare, and therefore they don't have as much contrast. So the red seams look almost grayish, the same as the mud-rubbed baseball. And when that happens, you can see the ball, but you can't see the spin. Therefore, even though it is glaring at times, they want to have the glasses off to see the contrast. E.J.?
Very stylish report from Craig Sager here in the second, and informative as well, as Adrian Gonzalez leads it off against Joe Kelly.
I knew we've been here too long. Craig is definitely L.A. already.
Gonzalez 5 out of 9 with a home run all time against Kelly. He was 1 for 2 in the opener. Two balls and no strikes. Dodgers went quietly in the first. 3 up and 3 down. And Kelly delivers a 2-0 to Gonzalez. Well hit to right, base hit. The leadoff man on here in the second for L.A.
Adrian gets the benefit of the 2-0 count. He laid off a couple of pitches. Fastball center cut. Line drive to right.
And that brings up Andre Ethier. Reduced to a pinch hitting role in the first series against Atlanta, which the Dodgers won in 4, returning to center field here in this series. He's 3 for 13 with a couple of walks.
Well, last night's ball game, the Cardinals hit 2 home runs, and the Los Angeles Dodgers against the Atlanta Braves had 7 home runs. They have none in this series. That has been the big reason why it's been tough for them to score runs.
Yeah, they had out-homered the team that led the National League in home runs in that first series. The 0-1. They also had 18 extra base hits in that 4-game series, have 9 through 4 games in this one.
See the pitch arsenal of Joe Kelly, lots of fastballs, a few breaking balls. He throws a lot of changeups to the left-handed hitters. UC Riverside is where he played collegiate baseball.
In the air to left. Holiday. 1 down. And it was at UC Riverside where Kelly told the sports information folks that he was a distant relative of the old gangster Machine Gun Kelly. And so they started calling him Machine Gun, and he later fessed up and said he really wasn't, but it's a good story.
He was trying to brand the name.
Yasiel Puig.
You know what would irritate me about Yasiel Puig? Not all the stuff he does on the field. How long it takes him to get in the box.
He's enjoying the music right now.
He's hitting .250 for the series. He's picked it up with the bat the last 2 games. And takes a strike on the corner, 0-1. He has a triple in the series, also drew his first walk of the postseason. He's struck out 11 times. 0-2.
Well, the theme for Puig in this series, to me, that was different than the Atlanta series, is that he's taken a lot of fastballs. It's almost like he's in between guessing on the breaking ball and the fastball.
And Molina generally is going slow away and hard in. That was supposed to be in, left over the middle of the plate. Yasiel is trying not to expand the strike zone in. He's got himself out a couple of times, but yesterday he was very disciplined. And today it looks like he's taking the same approach.
So the yo-yoing process continuing by Molina behind the plate. That's the term that Don Mattingly had used. A ball and 2 strikes with Gonzalez at first. And the count even, 2-2. Goes the other way, base hit to right. Gonzalez will hold at second. 2 runners on with 1 out here in the second.
You know, Cal, for a young player, I'm so surprised that hitting the right field comes so easily for him.
Yeah, he sprays the ball all over the place, but this pitch was supposed to be in. That's 2 times in this at bat. He didn't make the pitch inside, and you can see the talent that Puig has. He likes the ball out over the plate, and he doesn't mind driving it to the opposite field.
He loves playing here in L.A. 10 for 16 at home in the postseason.
Molina went out to have a few words with his pitcher. He was doing all the talking. Now here's Uribe with runners at first and second. 1 out. Down low, 1-0. Uribe just 2 for 17 in the series. Up the middle, base hit. Gonzalez around third. Here comes the throw to the plate. Safe. The Dodgers break on top 1-0.
Just a hard chopper up the middle. That topspin gets it through. Looks like there's going to be a play at the plate. A-Gon hustling around. Kind of an awkward slide at home plate, but nonetheless, he's safe.
Uribe has good feelings against Joe Kelly. 2 RBIs in game 1 and another one here. It's like he didn't know what to do, whether to stand up or to slide. Ellis, not a lot of help.
He was there, but we couldn't tell what the signal was.
Runners at first and second now for A.J. Ellis, who takes a strike, 0-1.
Remember, that's how Kemp got hurt. Being indecisive whether to slide or not. When in doubt, always slide. Slides hard and slide right through the base.
Molina was standing there at the plate as if no throw was coming. And Jay's throw was a hair late. Ball and a strike. Three hits in the inning for the Dodgers, who escaped a bases-loaded jam in the first. They're on the board here, 1-0. Breaking pitch stayed high. 2 balls and a strike. Puig is the runner at second. Uribe at first. Popped up behind first. Carpenter near the line makes the play, and there's the tag by Puig, who will get to third standing. Nice play by Carpenter over there by the line, Cal.
They got a high sky right in between. He has the best angle on the ball. Puig does a good job. You should always tag up on all foul balls. If he catches it and goes in the stands, you can go. But with Puig's speed, he makes this easy.
I don't know if there's any ball in the air that Puig thinks you cannot tag on.
It's a risk right there. You don't want to get thrown out and make the last out at third. But there is an advantage by getting to third.
He's a risk-reward kind of guy.
First and third now for Zack Greinke. Good hitter for a pitcher. Had 19 hits and 58 trips in the regular season. No pitcher had more hits, and he knocked in 4 runs. One run is in here in the second. And there are Dodgers at first and third. Good cut by Greinke.
He's just a good all-around athlete. You see him get off the mound really quickly, make the plays. He helps himself out in so many different ways, but especially being able to swing the bat.
The 0-2 outside.
Dodgers have left 18 on this series, but think about it this way. In yesterday's game, Ricky Nolasco had an at-bat with the bases loaded. Didn't take the bat off his shoulder. Let's see if Greinke can help himself.
He takes a pretty darn good rip up there, Cal.
2 good swings at very good fastballs. 98, 97. Leaves it just over the plate.
If you didn't know he was a pitcher, you'd say he's a shortstop or second baseman.
Greinke digs in. On the ground, in the hole, into left field. Greinke helps himself. Knocks in Puig. 2-0 Dodgers. Man, what an at-bat.
Fights off the fastball, gets a breaking ball that stays over the plate. Hits a hard ground ball in the hole. Good at bat, good placement.
Greinke's RBI single brings Derek Lilliquist, the Cardinals pitching coach, out of the St. Louis dugout. And now Lilliquist heads back after a few words with the St. Louis starter.
This looks a lot like Kelly's first start in Game 1. He was in trouble a lot of that game. He was able to get the big outs. He's given up a couple big hits here.
In that game, he gave up 2 runs in the third, and then the Cardinals were able to answer. Here's Crawford.
Hasn't been able to make the pitches on the corner, especially in this inning. Got good stuff. It's leaving the ball out over the middle of the plate.
There's a strike, a ball and a strike. To the Dodgers leadoff hitter who grounded out to second his first time.
You know, you'd have to think that Yasiel Puig would have scored on that ground ball anyway if he was at second base. But it made it much easier that the heads-up play of tagging and getting to third.
There is action in the St. Louis bullpen. Haven't seen Shelby Miller in this series, and he is loosening as we play in the second inning. Joe Kelly having surrendered 2 runs here in the second. And he fooled Crawford there, 2-2.
So strange how a season can play out. In spring training, Kelly and Miller, who are good friends, battling for that 5th spot. Miller wins it, wins 15 games, and now he might be called to save Kelly's bacon.
Full count, 3-2. Uribe, the runner at second. Greinke, the runner at first. Both will get head starts on this 3-2 pitch to Carl Crawford. And Crawford goes down swinging to end the second. But the Dodgers get on the board. Including Zack Greinke helping himself out. It's 2-0. To get exclusive behind-the-scenes access and expert opinions from the biggest names in sports, check out Behind the Mic, powered by Ford, on BleacherReport.com/BehindTheMic. Heading to the third here in Los Angeles, where the homestanding Dodgers scored 2 in their half of the second, and Zack Greinke will face Joe Kelly, the Cardinal pitcher, to open the third.
You know what's interesting? We were listing Lance Lynn's shutdown inning ERA yesterday. It was 6.5. Well, Greinke has a great shutdown inning ERA to go along with all his great numbers. but when you think about it, in game 1, Dodgers scored 2 runs in the 3rd, and they came back and scored 2 more against Zack Greinke, and it was Joe Kelly who started that inning.
Yeah, he got the first hit off Greinke in game 1. He's behind 0-2 here.
Well, I'm going to say it. Mike Matheny didn't want me to say it, but because he didn't want his regular players to hear it. But he said he thinks that Joe Kelly might be the best athlete on his ball club.
Yeah, it was a 2-out single in the 3rd, followed by a walk, and then Beltran with the double. So the runs that Greinke has given up in this postseason have all come with 2 outs. And again, if you're just joining us, he got out of a huge jam in the 1st. A single, a walk, and another single loaded the bases, but he struck out Adams and got a double play grounder out of Molina. Greinke, easy as you please, 1 down to start the 3rd.
Second baseman number 13, Matt Carpenter.
Matt Carpenter comes to the plate, singled his first time. So, Ronnie, you've been in every conceivable situation as a starting pitcher in every conceivable type of game, but when you come out and you kind of get knocked around a little bit and you're missing your spots and you get out of that, tell me what that does for you mentally.
Well, when you're sitting on the bench, Ernie, you're like, thank you for the mulligan, because I needed it. Came out, he was thrown, extra hard, grunting, trying to get everything behind his pitches, lost his control. Got the bases loaded, and then got the big strikeout of Adams was the big pitch with the curveball, and then getting the double play. And now he seems locked in. So that first inning, an aberration, and now back to Greinke, who won 15 games this year.
Carpenter, a guy who hit .318 in the regular season. And had 199 hits, 55 doubles. When you have that kind of a year, when you erase Stan Musial's name from the all-time doubles list in a season, you've done okay. Breaking pitch again, over for a strike, 2-2.
You're talking about Stan Musial, and I know you know this, Iron Man. If your picture is next to a guy's picture who's in black and white, you know you've done something great that year.
It's a good perspective. I was just wondering if my picture was in the black and white.
Here comes the 2-2. And Carpenter stays alive.
You do see Greinke pitching more now. Dropped a 2-1 curveball, pitching a little backwards. He spots his changeup. Now he's mixing in all his pitches. That, again, once you establish all your pitches, the hitter then has to respect all those pitches.
Listen, as a competitor, sometimes you just get too pumped up when you go out there. You've got to calm down a little bit.
Here comes the overhand hook again.
Grounded on the right side, out of the reach of Mark Ellis. And Carpenter is 2 out of 2.
Well, no one had more 2-strike hits than Matt Carpenter, 95 out of his 199. But in the postseason, he had been 0 for 16 until that base hit there.
He's got a nice short stroke anyway, but he shortens it up even more. He gets the barrel of the ball, barrel of the bat to the ball in those 2-strike situations.
So he's at first with 1 out, and here's Carlos Beltran. Walked his first time on 4 pitches, and this one nowhere near 1-0.
It doesn't look right next to Beltran's numbers. 143, 2 for 14.
He made both hits count, though, didn't he?
Knocked in all 3 runs in the opener of this series. There's a strike, 1-1.
I always think that the older player, tougher to rebound after a day game, after a night game.
You're speaking from having been an older player. You're absolutely right. You're resilient when you're younger. It's easy to sleep. It's easier to wake up. The adrenaline gets you flowing. It's not so easy when you get a little age on you. It takes longer to get ready, longer to get loose. You have to do more stuff just to get out on the field.
Greinke trying to paint there, but missed. 2-1. Beltran does have 9 runs batted in this postseason to lead the Cardinals.
Greinke took a shot at the backdoor cutter, or the backdoor little short slider. It's been a very effective pitch for him against lefties. Beltran spoils it.
There you go. And I think one of the keys in this game today is Ted Barrett going to call that pitch that might be on the corner or a little off the corner with that backdoor slider to left-handed hitters.
In game 1, if memory serves, he got that pitch quite often.
That's the thing with Greinke. He can shake 5 or 6 times because he's got 6 or 7 pitches.
On low, 3 balls and 2 strikes. Jose Aquindo, the Cardinals' third base coach.
Chris Maloney, the first base coach, mouthing instructions to Carpenter.
That's normally how it goes. If you're looking to see any kind of indication, you see the sign first, and then you watch the first base coach try to read his lips. But normally, right here, 3-2, you either put a hold on or you say we're running. So that's probably what the sign is. It's not a straight steal sign.
Runner going as that ball's hit to center. Ethier going back to the wall, and it's off the wall. Carpenter around third. He will score easily as Beltran heads for third with a run-scoring triple. That ball just missed getting out of here.
Left field, number 7, Matt Holloway.
And this is a hook, a slower curveball that Beltran stays all over and drives it to straightaway center field. Right off the 5 in 395, just missed hitting a home run.
Beltran is supposed to be vulnerable to that curve, but he stayed back on it and hit it. And his answer is, who you calling old?
He's had a steady diet of breaking balls. So now he makes the adjustment at the right time.
Here's Matt Holliday. Runner at third, the tying run with 1 down. Holliday couldn't hold up. 0-1.
Cal, Beltran's getting a big lead down third base. To me, it feels like it's going to be a contact play.
They have a few different variations of their contact play. A strict contact play is to get a bigger lead and then go on contact. Don't worry about reading it. Just go and go to score. And if you're going to get thrown out by a long way at home, your responsibility is to get in a rundown and get the hitter to second base. Then you're trading out still a guy in scoring position. But you're taking a chance on scoring a run.
The 0-1 to Holliday. Did he go? No, he did not. Greg Gibson says he held up. Count even, a ball and a strike. Another look at the ball hit by Beltran. Just above the 5. That's a matter of inches away from going out. So we've already seen Uribe knock in a run off Joe Kelly, and he knocked in 2 the first time they played. And then here's Beltran, who knocked in 2 with a shot off the wall in game 1. And again, he takes Greinke almost out of the yard here.
And again, in a shutdown inning, just like game 1, Greinke comes out and gives part of that lead back.
That trip to the mound was to warn the infielders that, look, Beltran's got a bigger lead over here. He's probably going on contact. They've shortened up a little bit more. Hanley is on the grass. Mark Ellis now is coming into the grass.
Ran it inside and missed 2-1. Holiday singled his first time. He homered last night. Tying run 90 feet away. 1 down here in the 3rd. And a 3-1 count to Holiday with Matt Adams on deck.
Interesting defense for Don Mattingly. You've got the lead. You're playing your infield in. Do you take a chance on a 3-1 count? Push your infield back. Don't risk having a huge inning here. The worst that can happen is your tie.
Holiday hits a bullet to the gap, and that's going to be off the wall. The game will be tied as Beltran scores, and Holiday into second with a double. It's 2-2.
That didn't matter where the infield was playing on that particular ball. Looks like he gets a little slider out over the plate. And that ball was hit really hard. Got to the fence really close. I thought he had a chance to make a play at second base on Holiday.
The inning began with a little tapper to the mound by Joe Kelly, and then Carpenter singled. Beltran nearly put one out of the park, and then Holiday a ringing double to the gap. Here's Adams, who struck out with the bases loaded his first time. Tap foul up toward first.
Interesting to watch Zack Greinke on the mound and his facial tics of, looked like to me, his first game he was so determined. There's a little exasperation on his face and his lack of control so far early in this game.
And again, you heard the grunt all the way up here.
Yeah, his fastball control's a little bit off. It's a little up in the strike zone. Normally it's down, and normally it's on the corners.
Strike called to Adams.
Adams seems to be caught in between right now, too. You can become a little too defensive, thinking, I don't want to swing at that bad pitch in the dirt, and then you find yourself in a similar situation with 2 strikes.
Shattered his bat on the grounder to second, and Ellis is going to have to hurry and will not get him. They were playing that shift. Ellis out there in shallow right. And Adams broke his bat and legged it out. They're at first and third.
That's the danger of that type of shift. Now, normally when you have your second baseman playing that far out, you have your shortstop on the same side of the infield so he can make that play. Hanley was on the other side of second base.
Kind of holding Holiday close, so the dribbler turns into a hit.
So Greinke really had to work to get out of the first, sailed through the second, and now in the third, unable to escape the trouble. 2 runs are in, runners are at first and third, and still just 1 out.
Just left to watch, like all of us, was Zack Greinke.
Here's Molina. Who bounced into a bases-loaded double play to end the first. Off the corner, no balls and 1 strike.
Pitch Yadier away when he's up in an RBI situation. He has no problem shooting that ball to right field.
4 straight hits for the Cardinals here in the third.
Molina's looking for something up in the strike zone where he can drive the ball to the outfield. Wants to stay away from anything that will produce a ground ball.
Two balls and a strike to the Cardinal catcher. Carpenter singled, Beltran tripled, Holiday doubled, Adams an infield single on a broken bat. 2 runs are in, 2 runners on, and just 1 out. Breaking pitch stays inside, 3-1.
Well, both pitching staffs in this series have done a great job of not giving in to the hitters in RBI situations. This might be the exception.
Matt Holiday got a 3-1 rule slider out over the plate, which it looked like he was looking for it.
Right back to Greinke. To second for 1. To first, double play. But in the third, the Cardinals with 4 straight hits and 2 runs to tie the game. We head to the bottom of the third. You are not looking at the entrance to the MLB Fan Cave, but it is coming back in 2014. Players, celebrities, concerts, and more. You can be part of next season's team. Go to MLBFanCave.com and apply right now. Another extended vantage point of Dodger Stadium for Game 5, which is now tied at 2. And we're in the bottom half of the third inning. Mark Ellis leads it off for the Dodgers. He lined to short his first time. Dodgers with 2 in the second. Cardinals answered with 2 in the third. And Joe Kelly catches the corner 1-1.
You know, if you're watching this game and you're pitching in this ball game, you got to start to understand that Ted Barrett is giving you that pitch on the outside corner to right-handed hitters. On the corner and maybe even a little off it.
That one missed. 2-1.
Joe Kelly hasn't been able to take advantage of that with his control. Still got great stuff, but he's been pitching more to the big part of the plate.
Line drive right field. Leadoff single here in the third. Mark Ellis has quietly had himself a pretty good series. Came in hitting .294 with a double and a triple, and he singles here in the third.
Here's another fastball out over the plate. Lines it to right field.
Back on the phone is pitching coach Derek Lilliquist. It seems that every time Kelly elevates that fastball, it straightens out. He's got good movement when it's down in the strike zone, but when it's up, it's pretty straight.
Shelby Miller back up and throwing in the St. Louis bullpen. Here is Hanley Ramirez, who took a called third strike his first time and didn't like it. Grounded to second. Cosma takes it himself and guns it to first for the double play. Ellis went in hard down there at second.
Cosma limping a little bit right now. He took a shot from Mark Ellis. That's one of those plays that you give yourself up to make the play.
It's good footwork here. Throws while he's stepping on the bag. But Ellis comes in hard and takes out both of them. You want to communicate a little earlier, hey, I'm going to take this one myself. So that Carpenter can clear. It still executes and makes the play.
Good hard baseball. Nice to see.
Cosma got flipped but got the throw off. And the Cardinals turn 2. And here's Adrian Gonzalez. It's got to be one of the most difficult decisions you make at short there, Cal. With that distance, do I make the flip? Do I have time? Do I take it myself?
Well, the ground ball will dictate that. Sometimes the slowness of the ball will force you to deliver the underhand flip.
So Hanley Ramirez, who's got that sore left side, got doing a little damage to the water cooler. The 1-0. Misses, 2 balls and no strikes.
Does anyone ever drink from the Gatorade, or is it just thrown to the ground or dumped on coaches?
It is there just simply for you to take out your frustrations. Gonzalez singled his first time, scored a run. Had a good cut, 2-1. Seen a few double plays already. We're just in the third inning. 2 big ones turned by the Dodgers with Molina at the plate to end innings. And you just saw the Cardinals turn 2 with Gonzalez coming to the plate. Fly ball right field, and there is the first Dodger home run of this series. Gonzalez sends this place into a frenzy. Here's Ethier with the Dodgers leading 3-2. Takes down low. Ethier flied to left his first time.
Looks like a fastball that's trying to get in, but he hasn't been able to control that inside part. Adrian pulls his hands in nicely and hits a bomb out to right center field.
I can't say I appreciated that sound when I stood 60 feet 6 inches away, but I do enjoy it in the postseason.
On the ground, right at Carpenter, who throws to Adams for the third out. But the tie is broken here in the third. A towering shot by A-Gon. The 2013 National League Championship Series coverage on TBS is presented by the Venture Card from Capital One. Day baseball here in Los Angeles. Joe Kelly, the St. Louis starter, gave up a couple of runs. His teammates tied it, and then he gave up a long ball to Gonzalez in the third, which makes it 3-2 Dodgers. John Jay leading it off here in the fourth. Struck out his first time. Greinke ahead 0-2.
Two really nice pitches. A changeup to lead him off with that runs a little away, and then he comes back with a backdoor breaking ball right on the outside edge.
Breaking pitch hit to center. Ethier on the run and makes the catch on the track. Boy, he had a long way to go and hauled it in.
After two really great pitches, the 0-2 was a slow curveball, and Jay was waiting for it.
Well, nice play by Ethier, but I think if you're Mattingly and Matheny, you've got to start looking at Greinke, a guy that when he's 0-2 on most hitters, he puts them away. So you have to start thinking to yourself, okay, does my guy have it today? And if he doesn't, and if you identify that, you have to start thinking about changing him with someone else.
David Freese takes outside, 1-0. Don Mattingly and the Dodgers hoping to board a plane for St. Louis after this one for a game 6. On the ground to Ramirez, who throws to first, and Gonzalez made a nice play on the stretch. 2 up and 2 down.
This is when a shortstop really loves his first baseman. Routine 2-hopper. A little up the line and in the dirt. And again, Adrian shows why he's a Gold Glover.
Adrian Gonzalez came to play today, didn't he?
Couple of great plays at first and a solo home run that broke the tie. Here's Pete Kozma. Breaking pitch 0-2. See a few of those beach balls here at Chavez Ravine in the course of a game. That one got loose, and now we're ready to go. To center field, and again Ethier going back, and he tracks this one down as well. 1-2-3 inning for Zack Greinke. We're in the middle of the 4th. At Dodger Stadium in Game 5. Yasiel Puig will lead it off. Here's a look at our BMW clear advantage. And you see, Cal, that he uses the whole ballpark.
That's a nice spread of hits. I'd like to know about the power balls, but that's a sign of a good hitter. A 300 hitter uses the whole field.
We'll put that on the to-do list for Game 6 if there is one. He went the other way his first time. Single in the second. Came around to score the second Los Angeles run. It's a 3-2 game. Dodgers lead. Trying to stay alive here in the NLCS. The 0-1 from Joe Kelly to Puig. 0-2.
In between every pitch, it's almost like Puig walks out of the box and scolds himself for taking that fastball down the middle.
Up high, 1-2. Puig called the wild horse by Don Mattingly in spring training. Vin Scully grabbed a hold of that. And they call him the wild horse or the Cuban missile. You see t-shirts in the Dodger clubhouse with a 66 on a rocket.
You know, you got to come back in on Yasiel. Predominantly outside. That's right in his power.
Ball and 2 strikes. 25-year-old Joe Kelly to 22-year-old Yasiel Puig. And that's strike 3 called. As Ted Barrett makes the call, and Puig is not going to move.
Uribe should get him out of the box.
It's time for In the Dugout, brought to you by Charles Schwab. Moments ago, we spoke with Cardinals manager Mike Matheny. So, Mike, what's the mindset here in Game 5 in regards to Joe Kelly?
Well, we're just watching, just like we do all of our guys. If something doesn't look right, we try and make the adjustments and have somebody ready to come in and help him out. But he's had a couple rough ones, but then he puts something together and gets some outs for us. So we're going to try and have him keep us in the game here.
It's nice to see some offense from the top 3 hitters in your lineup. 5 hits and a walk already.
Yeah, they're putting together some good at-bats. We've had a lot of missed opportunities though here. That's something we haven't done a lot of this season. It's something we got to change if we're going to stay in this.
Our thanks to Mike Matheny for his time between innings. And
catcher number 17.
You saw Pete Kozma gobble up the grounder from Uribe and throw him out.
Matheny with that great game face. You know, I was in spring training with the Cardinals. Tony La Russa invited me to help the pitchers hold runners on. I went just for fun to be in Florida, throwing batting practice, and I hit Mike Matheny. I was so apologetic afterwards. I said, "I'm so sorry, Mike, that I hit you there. I apologize." He said, "Don't worry, we have to work on that too." So that's how tough he is.
A.J. Ellis steps in with 2 down.
Where'd you hit him?
Right in the 8th rib.
Now the story comes full circle. Kelly quickly ahead 0-2 on Ellis, who popped out his first time. It was a ball down the right field line, and Carpenter made a long run for it, made a nice catch. Puig tagged on it, moved to third, and later scored on Zack Greinke's single. On the ground to third. Freeze across to Adams. 1-2-3 inning for Joe Kelly. 4 innings in the books. Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Everything Goodyear has learned making tires for superior performance inspires what we roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven. Top half of the fifth. And the pitcher Joe Kelly will lead it off.
Well, interesting decision from Matheny. Probably thought about maybe pinch hitting here, but Kelly had a good inning. Probably had his best inning.
His second 1-2-3 inning of the game. First and the fourth. No balls and 2 strikes. You wondered last inning when he was due up fourth if somebody had gotten on, if he would have hit for him.
I think just Zack Greinke getting them 1-2-3 kept him in the game, and he proved to his manager and pitching coach that he belongs in the game still.
Waves at the 0-2. 1 down here in the fifth. Time for In the Dugout, brought to you by Charles Schwab. Moments ago we spoke with LA manager Don Mattingly. Well, Donnie, an element that was big in the first series against the Braves has finally returned here in the NLCS. The long ball from Adrian Gonzalez.
I thought you were talking about runs.
That can be also said.
That was nice to get that one, especially, we get those 2 and they bounce right back on us. We'd like to have kept that momentum on our side. But then obviously Adrian hits that big home run. He puts us back on top. Zach goes to 0. The game seemed to have settled down a bit. We'll see where it goes.
Hey, Zach, hasn't seemed like he's had his good stuff, but he's battled through and he's kept you right there.
That's the thing about Zach. He's going to keep pitching, using his pitches, make adjustments as he goes out there. He's not just going to give in and all of a sudden say, I don't have my stuff today. He's going to continue to try to change speeds, mix. He did a nice job of getting out of a couple of games.
Thanks to Don Mattingly, as you see Adrian Gonzalez, who's really had a good day with the glove. Always does, it seems. Made that play on Carpenter for the second out.
I mean, this ball scalded, Cal.
I was just thinking, Matt Carpenter, once you get one hit, then you feel a little better. You get 2 hits. All of a sudden now, you feel like you're locked in.
Top 3 hitters in the Cardinals lineup had their way here in Game 5. They were 5 for 5 before that ground out by Carpenter. Now here's Beltran, who tripled his last time, walked in the first.
Go back to the first game. He had a changeup off the wall. Now he's hit a curveball off the wall. I think he's got to be laying for a fastball here.
And that's on the ground to Gonzalez. And that is an easy inning for Zack Greinke. 1-2-3, middle of the fifth.
Welcome back to L.A. Joe Kelly taking the mound, bottom of the fifth. Kelly is an exceptional athlete. As a kid, he could throw a baseball 90 miles per hour. He can dunk a basketball at 5'11". He could run as fast as anywhere. But here's where he really was good, skateboarding. He was at the skate park from day till night. He was the master of the 360 kickflip and the Benihana. He was a legend after beating Ryan Sheckler in a game of skate. E.J., that's sort of like basketball in a game of horse.
Thank you for the explanation. And Joe Kelly, Southern California kid, and working here in the bottom of the fifth inning against Zack Greinke.
Day game, Cal. We'll practice our Benihana after the game.
Yes. I'm going to say I could use a bite to eat. 0-2.
Greinke, his last time up, his first Dodger pitcher to have an RBI in the NLCS since Oral Hershiser in 1988. Oral threw out the first pitch into this afternoon's game. There he is, the Bulldog.
Nice play, Carpenter. Greinke hit it sharply. And that is one down here in the fifth.
You know who the pitcher was in that game that Oral got the RBI off?
I don't know. Is he in the booth?
Yeah, he's in the booth.
Which booth?
This booth right here.
Well, I'm going to guess Ron Darling.
As the king of giving up hits to pitchers. Derek Lilliquist, the pitching coach for the Cardinals, took me out twice in one game.
Lilliquist was a good hitter.
Wish you would have told me 25 years ago.
Good hitter, good pitcher at the University of Georgia. Took those skills into the bigs. Here's Carl Crawford. Dodgers leading 3-2 on the strength of a solo home run, the first for the Dodgers in this series by Adrian Gonzalez. Kelly's going to step off. Randy Choate, the left-hander, and Seth Maness loosening in the Cardinal pen. Earlier it was Shelby Miller when Joe Kelly was kind of rough around the edges as the day started, Ron.
Now they're going to have the relievers that to get out of any jams if Kelly gets in one. You got to have a left-hander ready for Adrian Gonzalez. Time in the order.
Gonzalez, you saw there, homered in the third with 2 out. Right after Hanley Ramirez had hit into a double play. Fly ball right. All Beltran can do is watch it sail. Home run, Crawford.
Finally catches up to this fastball. He fouled off a couple of them. At 96, right on the inner half, he doesn't miss it. I thought it might have gone farther than A-Gon's.
4th home run this postseason for Carl Crawford.
4th home run this postseason, all on 2 strikes. He only had 1 2-strike home run during the regular season.
And so it's the Dodgers 4-2. Into right center field by Ellis. Jay calls and makes the play for the second out. A no-doubter from Crawford.
You know, 2-strike homer with 3 balls doesn't feel right. 2-strike, 1 and 2, 0 and 2, where you're battling and you catch a mistake. When you get back to 3 and 2, he knew he was going to get that fastball. He just timed it and got it.
You come to the ballpark, you sit down in your seats, and you say to yourself, well, maybe I'll get a home run out here. And the person with you says, no one's going to hit a home run this far. 2 long balls for the Dodgers.
Here's Ramirez. Breaking pitch in tight.
I always laugh at that, the reaction from the crowd on a curveball inside. If you're going to hit somebody, you're not going to hit somebody with a curveball.
Two balls and no strikes. Ramirez was called out on strikes in the first. Grounded into a double play in the third, just in front of the Gonzalez home run, which broke the tie. And here in the fifth, Crawford's home run has given the Dodgers a 2-run lead.
You might want to look on the outside half for this fastball right here. Dodgers back up the middle.
There's a strike, 2-1.
Yadier was thinking the same thing. I guess I better throw him a breaking ball.
So the estimated distance on that home run, 447. Three balls and a strike to Ramirez. Right back to Kelly. And in slow motion, Ramirez is retired for the third out. But not before Carl Crawford launches to right. The Dodgers by 2. innovative stat brought to you by Nissan. The lowest combined ERA in LCS history in both the NL and the AL coming into today. 1.80 between this series and the Red Sox and Tigers, which will continue tonight on Fox.
We know pitching beats hitting, but that's ridiculous.
So, a sponsored item insulting to the Iron Man. We'll try not to let that happen again. Top of the 6th. Matt Holliday checked his swing 1-0. Holliday's 2 for 2, a single and a double. Knocked in one of the Cardinal runs in the 3rd. Big deep breath by Greinke, and here's the pitch.
He knows how important this inning is. He's going through the meat of the order for the St. Louis Cardinals, and you start to not thinking ahead, but you're saying to yourself, boy, if I can get clean through this inning, I have one inning down the bottom of the order, and you can get as deep as you can into the game to try to get the ball to Jansen.
There's a strike. 2-1. So he ran into that trouble in the 3rd inning, 4 straight hits, but then he got his second double play ball out of Molina of the day, and then retired the side in order in both the 4th and the 5th. Joe Kelly has allowed 4 on the Cardinals side. Here's the 2-1. On the ground to 3rd, Uribe. Fancy. 1 down.
Well, if you're the team behind, Cal, I think what you're seeing now on the field as we watch this ground out from Matt Holliday, picked nicely by Uribe, who's had a great season defensively in the regular season and post. You're starting to see the shadows. So if you're the team behind, you're going to have those shadows in about 15 minutes to a half hour. So maybe now's the time to try to score.
Dodgers shift for Matt Adams. His last time up, that shift worked and didn't work. Yeah, he hit it that way, but he broke his bat. And Ellis had to charge from right field and couldn't throw him out.
Yeah, to me, you either commit to that, all the way around and have your shortstop on that side, or you got to bring your second baseman in a little bit.
Greinke ahead 0-2.
Because as you can see now, if you look at Hanley's on the second base side. Any slow hit ball, he's going to come directly towards first base to make that play. Before, he was on the other side of second base, which left the defense vulnerable to that slow hit ground ball.
It was just the second hit of the series for Adams, who was 2 for 17. Held up.
Sometimes a hit like that will get you going.
The 1-2. Breaking pitch hit hard but foul down the first base line. And it will remain a ball and 2 strikes. Greinke in trouble right off the bat today. The Cardinals loaded the bases with nobody out, but he struck out the guy at the plate now, Adams, and got Molina to ground into an inning-ending double play.
Greinke saying, you got the call. That was the right call. We have not seen a lot of the backdoor slider that we saw in game 1. Maybe we'll see it now.
Two balls and 2 strikes.
That's the harder breaking ball that he does use on the backside, but he tried to go in on that one.
Adams waiting on a 2-2 from the Dodger right-hander. And the count full. Payoff. Hit to left. Easy for Crawford. 2 up and 2 down here in the 6th.
For the Cardinals, catcher number 4, Yadier Molina.
Well, here's Molina, who's had 2 frustrating at-bats today. Grounded into a double play with the sacks full in the first. And then grounded into another double play to end the inning in the third when the Cardinals scored twice but were threatening for more.
And sometimes the shadows, it doesn't affect whether you see the ball, but if you can see the catcher's shadow, they call it peeking sometimes when the hitter peeks back to see where the catcher sets up. Sometimes the shadow will reveal where the catcher sits up. And you wouldn't be very smart if you didn't use that knowledge.
One. Over for a strike. Is there anything in the game of baseball that has ever escaped you, Cal? Just wondering. It just doesn't seem like there is.
Well, very few times that comes up where you actually see the catcher's shadow that goes out in front of home plate. So if you can see him move to the outside part, you're not cheating. You're just looking at the shadow in front of you.
I don't like it, though. I'm going to try to figure it out.
And it means you have 6 more weeks of baseball. 2-2.
Catchers don't set up as early now on the corners as they used to. Everyone's a little bit more paranoid about signals being sent in from the side, the on-deck circle hitter, wherever else to give location. So they wait a little bit longer before they move anyway.
Maybe as a catcher, you could fake outside and move inside late.
A punch out of Molina to end the 6th. Third straight 1-2-3 inning for Zack Greinke. 2013 National League Championship Series coverage on TBS presented by the Venture Card from Capital One. Bottom of the 6th inning. In Game 5, Dodgers lead 4-2, and the most economical reliever in postseason baseball is on for the Cardinals.
In the postseason, he's gotten 6 outs, Randy Choate has, on 12 pitches.
Beat that. Here's Adrian Gonzalez, who's had himself a day.
Dodgers have not been able to really dent that St. Louis Cardinals bullpen. 14 innings pitched by the bullpen, only 1 run allowed.
Talk about Adrian Gonzalez's game plan. His game plan here has to be looking for the breaking ball and staying on it.
To first, Adams, nice play. The flip to Choate. Gonzalez retired on 2 pitches.
In this angle, you can't tell that I was wrong on the breaking ball. It was a fastball, and he went up there looking for it. Sometimes when you're swinging the bat so well, you just look for the ball.
7 outs on 14 pitches. We'll keep the count as we go.
There you go. I wonder who's going to be delegated to. Keep track of that. Hal Galima, our ace statistician, feeding that number to us. Here's Andre Ethier, who's 0 for 2. Choate giving you the old school look with the higher pants. You see all the red socks and the stripes. Pretty breaking ball, 0-1. Choate got a ring with the Yankees in 2000. Got some postseason experience with them and with Tampa Bay in 2010. And the 0-1 sails outside, a ball and a strike.
This is a great sport. Left-handed, you just flip up a couple of sliders and you can play forever.
He actually came over to the Dodgers with Hanley Ramirez in that deal with the Marlins. Now facing the Dodgers here in the NLCS. Wide again, 2-1.
Interesting, starting pitcher Greinke not sitting down between innings, like a prize fighter, not needing a stool.
He's rallied here in the middle rounds after being tagged a few times early.
It's an interesting grip he has there, not with the seams, not on top of the seams, as he kind of just frisbees it up to the plate. That hurts my arm even just to watch it in slow motion.
The arm angle is the real critical part when it's out there. It's hard to get a good gauge.
Almost hit him. Somehow it went through him, and it's 3-2. Puig on deck. Line drive right at Cosma for the second out.
Right fielder number 66, Yasiel Puig.
Be the first to know the latest news on all your teams with Bleacher Report's Team Stream app. Stay one step ahead. Check out Team Stream on your phone's app store today. Mike Matheny is going to make a pitching change. The ratio not exactly what it was for Randy Choate, but still effective as he retires the 2 hitters he faced.
Yeah, he scuffled there. Now 8 outs, 20 pitches.
Oh, you're all right on top of it. Back to Dodger Stadium right after this.
is presented by authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent.
Back here at Dodger Stadium with 2 outs in the 6th, and Edward Mujica called upon out of the St. Louis pen.
Well, with the injury to Jason Mott, he was the closer for most of the season. Converted his first 21, 37 out of 41, but just ran out of gas in September.
As a result, Trevor Rosenthal took over the closing duties, and this will be Mujica's first appearance in this series. He pitched in 1 game in the Pirates series.
That 57% of the changeup is his split finger fastball.
He'll face Yasiel Puig. Blowing away, and Teddy Barrett checked down there at first base with Greg Gibson, who said he did not go. Grounded to third. Freeze with a nice play. Throws across and gets him. 3 up and 3 down in the 6th.
Top of the 7th inning, Dodger Stadium in L.A. Time for the Bank of America game break. Detroit, dominant string of starting pitching, but they are down 2-1 to Boston. Red Sox hitting just 133, have scored in just 3 of 27 innings. But they have a 2-1 lead with Jake Peavy going against Doug Fisker. A night on Fox. E.J.
Thank you, Segs. Joe Buck. Tim McCarver will have the call, and Aaron Andrews, Ken Rosenthal working the dugouts for Game 4 of that series on Fox. Top half of the 7th inning. Zack Greinke is settled in. He's got John Jay leading off for St. Louis.
This looks like the last half inning where you're going to have complete sunlight. That line is going right across home plate now. It's going to be a little bit more difficult to pick the ball up.
The day is done, by the way, for Hanley Ramirez. Nick Punto in at short. Tap to second. Easy for Mark Ellis. One down. You know, that was a tough night for Nick Punto last night. You get a double and you're out there in a tight game and then get kicked off. And you know, he wore it. You know, he talked to everybody about it, but that was a long, lonely walk back to that Dodger dugout.
You know, Nick Punto is a gamer. He's a guy that any team would like to have in his clubhouse. And a chance for redemption here this afternoon, maybe making a couple of plays late.
We are in the top of the seventh, zipping right along here at Dodger Stadium. The Chevrolet pitch tracks on Zack Greinke.
Is that right in his norm? Seems like it's a little bit more breaking balls.
Yeah, I think he would usually throw more around 60-65% of fastballs, but going mostly with the breaking ball.
He has set down 11 in a row since allowing 2 runs in the third, 2 runs on 4 straight hits.
I thought he started to find his fastball a little bit last inning, especially on the at bat to Molina. Used the fastball to elevate in the strike zone and struck him out.
Freese taps it toward third, and that's a foul ball. Mark Carlson with the call down there on a ball that was hugging the line.
David Freese ran really well down the first baseline. Always wondering if that cramp in his calf was still bothering him, but it looks like he's pretty free and easy running down to first base.
Well, you know immediately the guy on the left, the bearded Brian Wilson, getting loose. Freese just does get a piece and stays alive, 2-2. Hitters 5 through 9, 0 for 12 against Greinke today. Ran it right in tight on Freese and missed.
Sorry, Ernie, saw that pitch count of 102 now. 122 was Greinke's high this season.
And when he pitched in game 1, it was 104 pitches. A game that went 13, and he worked 8 of them. On the ground, Uribe. Guns him down, 2 up, 2 down here in the 7th. Want to know the secrets of being a home run hitter? Tim Ferriss shows you how to knock it out of the park. Go to upwave.com/baseball.
12 of the 20 outs that Zack Greinke has got this afternoon have been on the ground.
And that's 12 straight retired by Greinke. Here's Pete Kozma. To Uribe. Seen this movie before. Time to stretch in Los Angeles. Dodgers trying to extend the series to a game 6. Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Everything Goodyear has learned making tires for superior performance inspires what we roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven. Bottom half of the 7th inning. Edward Mujica still on for St. Louis. He faced one hitter in the 6th, got Puig to bounce out. And Zack Greinke getting handshakes from Don Mattingly, bench coach Trey Hillman at the end of the inning. Boy, did Tim Wallach make a nice play down there outside the third base coach's box. He's never been in the third base coach's box, by the way.
That's 2 in this series. Best in OB. Organized ball.
I thought you were saying out of bounds.
On Uribe waiting. And that's fouled off into the first row. Here's Wallach, just too smooth.
Hurt his hand, though.
What you get when you play 17 years with the Expos, the Dodgers, and the Angels. 3-time Gold Glover. Mujica spears the comebacker and throws out Uribe for the first out. Mujica, known as the Chief, and he got his nickname down in when he was playing for the Marlins from Jack McKeon, who couldn't really remember his name or pronounce his name, but it reminded him of Last of the Mohicans, so he called him Chief. And then when they made the deal for him in St. Louis, John Mozeliak calls him on the phone and says, "Hey, Chief, how are you?" He's, "How'd you find out about that?" The word was getting around. A.J. Ellis takes a strike, 0-1. He's 0 for 2. On the corner, no balls and 2 strikes. Michael Young, you see him on deck. I showed you the handshakes for Greinke. Fly ball left field, well hit. Holiday bat, no chance. Home run, A.J. Ellis.
Looked like a breaking ball there. Not bad for a kid that Don Mattingly said the first time he saw him, he couldn't hit the ball out of the ballpark in batting practice. Things have changed.
First one of his postseason career. And it stakes the Dodgers to a 5-2 lead. Here's Michael Young.
The Dodgers waited a while to hit their first home run in this series. The bats woke up today.
3 solos, Gonzalez, Crawford, and Ellis here in the 7th. The veteran Michael Young looking for his first hit of this series. 1 for 8 in the postseason.
That's the split, right, Ronnie?
Yes. He's got a good fastball, but he really pitches around His split finger. That's his best pitch.
To center field, Jay on the run makes the catch for out number 2. Mike Matheny, with 2 outs in the 7th, will once again go to the pen. Nuhiga departs, and we take a break. We'll be right back. Back here at Dodger Stadium, 1 run in and 2 out in the bottom half of the 7th inning. Kevin Segrist on, now in relief for St. Louis.
It's interesting in this series how Mike Matheny has chose to use his left-handers. He used his choate and that big breaking ball against Adrian Gonzalez, and Segrist, he wants that good live arm 95 plus against Crawford.
And he throws him a strike 0-1.
95 plus 2 on that pitch.
You're right.
And right away, he's ahead 0-2. This was the 5th inning. Joe Kelly served one up to Crawford, who lost it into the bleachers in right. One of 3 solo home runs on the day for the Dodgers, who had not connected through the first 4 games of the series.
You know, Randy Choate is a matchup lefty on lefty guy. You want to lock that that matchup in. Segrist is not. He has the stuff to get both lefties and righties out.
He's bringing the heat.
And he punches out Crawford to end the 7th. But the Dodgers adding to the lead. The catcher, A.J. Ellis, going deep for a 3-run lead. Core Performers brought to you by iShares by BlackRock. If we have a Game 6, it will be Friday night in St. Louis. And this is tasty. Kershaw and Waka. Same guys who squared off in Game 2. Brian Wilson on in relief of Zack Greinke, and Daniel Descalso pinch hitting for the Cardinals as we open the 8th.
Really one of the best signings for Ned Colletti and the Dodgers, right? Minimal price. He's built his way up from a guy just getting innings at the end of the season to now the setup man.
Has not allowed a postseason earned run in his career, and he's ahead of Descalso 1-2.
As you can see, the shadows are going right across in between the pitcher and the hitter. I think this is the worst time to see. Some people will say when it's right across the mound itself, but there's two different conditions that you're looking through right now.
Check swing right back to Wilson, who throws him out. One down here in the 8th. Let's go down to Craig Sager. Sags?
Well, that beard on Brian Wilson keeps longer and longer, keeps getting there. He's got a little Band-Aid, and he's also got a rubber band around it. I asked him when last time he shaved, and he goes, let's see, I was with the Giants 2007. They sent me to Fresno. AAA manager was Dan Roan. He said to make a clean impression. I shaved that day. I got back to San Francisco. I said, I'll never shave again. So, EJ, 6 years later, you could look like this.
I've tried, man. It never comes in that full. Ellis throws out Carpenter, 2 up and 2 down. Makes me itch when I watch him pitch. There's Carlos Beltran. And you could keep a wallet, an iPhone, money clip, all kind of stuff in there. 0-1.
Got some in the crowd, too. I think what we tend to forget, though, with the beard, the mohawk, the long hair, is that the guts of Brian Wilson, especially in the postseason.
And the work ethic. Ball and a strike. One ball, 2 strikes.
Cardinals have been great front runners all season long, but trailing after 7, 4 and 50. That's 3rd worst in the National League.
Out of play to the left. Count stays 1-2. And talk about Brian Wilson. You see him in the outfield before games, and you see him going through various strengthening and workout regimens, and he is a worker. I mean, don't let all that stuff fool you, the exterior stuff. Takes his craft very seriously, and it shows. 2-2.
Fastball up and a fastball in. I think it's time for a breaking ball.
Strike 3 called to Beltran. 1-2-3 8th. The Dodgers 3 outs away from sending this series back to St. Louis. 2013 National League Championship Series coverage on TBS presented by the Venture Card from Capital One. Just before 4 o'clock local time in Los Angeles on a Wednesday afternoon in which the Dodgers are trying to keep their season going and force a Game 6 in St. Louis on Friday. John Axford out of the St. Louis pen. A little delay before we start the 8th inning. Ellis 1 for 3. Axford appeared in Game 1 of this series, the 13-inning job. Rounded up the middle. Hosmer throws him out. And that's one down here in the 8th.
Shortstop number 7, Nick Punta.
Ryan Wilson, who worked that perfect 8th, and A.J. Ellis, who has contributed with a solo home run here in Game 5. And in the foreground, you saw Clayton Kershaw, who will get the start in Game 6, if indeed there is one Friday. Here's Nick Punto, who came on replacing Hanley Ramirez. Defensively, this is his first trip to the plate.
If you haven't seen John Axford pitch, occasionally he can lose control for a few pitches, but he's a great fastball, straight over the top curveball.
He was a lights-out closer for a time with the Brewers, had 49 in a row in the save department at one stretch.
During that stretch, he had really good control of his fastball and really good control of his breaking ball. They're two really great pitches.
Two balls and 2 strikes to the Dodgers shortstop.
See Axford throwing the ball in. Molina can't catch it. Ted Barrett, one of the taller umpires in Major League Baseball, makes the catch.
Ted Barrett, an ordained minister, and one of his hobbies is boxing. And you know what that means. He could beat the devil out of him. Fouled away by Punto.
Speak for yourself, Ernie.
If you had a mind to. Two balls and 2 strikes to Nick Punto. And the Axeman gets the strikeout here in the 8th. In the St. Louis 9th, Holiday, Adams, and Molina. The 3, 4, 5 hitters are due. Here's Adrian Gonzalez. Singled and scored in the 2nd, homered in the 3rd.
Some amazing picks of errant throws in the dirt. Great defensive game also. The hitters are reacting to the pitches from Axford like they're not seeing the baseball at all.
Well, there's a good chance they're not seeing the baseball very well.
Hit well to right. Toward the seats and gone. Adrian Gonzalez, his second of the day.
He seemed to see this one all right. A high breaking ball. Hit a steady dose of fastballs all day. And then catches a breaking ball for a home run.
By the way, my comment of not being able to see the ball, never mind.
Here's Ethier. Ethier's had to bat a couple of times today with this Dodger Stadium crowd ringing in his ears. Oh, and 2. Since he came over from Milwaukee, Axford had not allowed a home run in 10 1/3 in the regular season. Adrian Gonzalez touches him up here in Game 5. Ethier with kind of a half swing. Ball gets away. Molina completes the strikeout. 2 strikeouts in the inning for Axford. But Gonzalez with the long ball. He and Puig in the dugout. The NBA returns with an opening night doubleheader on TNT. Derrick Rose makes his return to the court when the Chicago Bulls play the Heat, followed by the Battle of LA at Staples Center as the Lakers play the Clippers. That's Tuesday, October 29th, only on TNT. Premier Week presented by Autotrader.com. Here at Dodger Stadium, we move to the ninth. Kenley Jansen on. Dodgers up 4. Trying to force Game 6 back in St. Louis. And he throws a strike to Matt Holliday.
Well, not a same situation here. But before he was put in the closer role, before the All-Star break, the Dodgers had 16 blown saves. 3 in the second half. So he stabilized that bullpen, even though he's got the 4-run lead here.
Holliday is singled and doubled. Knocked in one of the 2 St. Louis runs. In the air to right, Puig cannot make the play under his glove. Holliday is at second, and Puig throws it in. Ball should have been caught.
Sunfield, bad sun. He made a good break on it, got there, but the last minute he just couldn't see it.
It's almost like he ran to a spot where he thought the ball was going to be, and then at the last second just got right into the sun.
It was a good shot of the glare right there.
Two-base hit for Holliday to lead off the ninth. Here's Matt Adams. Then they put the shift on with Adams at the plate.
Yeah, Punto was on the other side. Now they've directed him to go on the second base side. Again, to defend that slow hit ball that Ellis can't come in there and play.
Ball and a strike. Adams 1 out of 3, singled in the third. Two and one.
Pitch Tracks has it off the plate. Donnie's been John this entire series.
I don't think his voice carries out there, though.
That's on the corner, 2-2. The thing that confused me about the ball to Puig was that it looked like he saw it right off the bat.
Well, we've seen him make that catch all series long, all postseason long.
I thought he was tracking it while he was running. It just the last step or two, he lost it.
Well hit over Punto and into center field. Holliday will be waved around third. And now it's a 6-3 game with nobody out.
Adams is a down hitter, likes the fastball down and hits a BB over the head of Punto. Kenley Jansen in charge of making that play to right field to Puig moot with a 3-run lead now. See John Valentin, the coach, telling Don Mattingly that pitch came around the plate that they were arguing about.
Here's Molina. He's 0 for 3. And when you look back at the St. Louis scoring opportunities in this game, he was at the plate with the bases loaded in the first, grounded into a double play. Had runners on the corners with 1 out in the third, with 2 runs already in, grounded into a double play. He's behind 0-2.
The Dodger defense shouldn't panic right here. They got a 3-run lead, but they need outs. Don't try to do anything outside the norm. Just take the outs. Don't try to turn any balls into double play balls that shouldn't be double play balls. Just get an out.
To Molina. Swung right through it. 1 down here in the 9th.
Just that cutter. Didn't have a whole lot of cut on that one. The speed, just a little bit up in the zone, right by Yadier.
Here's John Jay. Cardinals center fielder is 0 for 3. Another look at the ball to Puig to start the inning. Ball was hit by Holiday, who came around to score.
That's a helpless feeling when the ball goes right in the center of the sun.
No balls, 2 strikes to Jay. Cardinals desperately trying to get another runner on there. David Freese is in the on-deck circle. It's a 6-3 game. Base hit, right field. And Freese, representing the tying run, steps to the plate here in the 9th.
Third baseman number 23, David Freese.
Cardinals in their postseason history have never overcome a deficit of 3 runs or more in the 9th or later. They were down 4 when the inning began. Right now, 6-3. And David Freese, no stranger to postseason heroics at the plate with 1 down. One and 0.
Jansen's an awfully tough pitcher, but he plays kind of into David Freese's game, and that is he likes the ball middle of the plate away. He's got tremendous power to right center and right field.
Cardinals lead from first and second. Had a home run cut, came up empty. 1-1. For a strike, 1-2.
Kenley's cutter for a hitter, sometimes it breaks big and sometimes it breaks short. Mariano was way more consistent with his cutter, breaking at the same spot. He was able to control it. For a hitter, you hope to get one that doesn't break so much.
Punched him out for the second out.
So it's inconsistency makes it consistently hard for the hitters to hit.
Let me think about that. Yes. It's a little like the irregularity of a knuckleball. You never know exactly which direction it's going to go.
That brings up Pete Kozma, who has homered once this season. It came in the second game of the year off Heath Bell. He hasn't gone deep since. But he represents the tying run. It stayed downstairs 1-0. Adrian Gonzalez and Mark Ellis both signaling Puig in right.
Well, they're trying to bring the outfielders in here. You can't give up a double. It looks like Donnie Mattingly doesn't want to give up a little bloop single either.
2 balls and no strikes.
Well, we've seen it on St. Louis's side with Yadier Molina. A.J. Ellis trying to calm his pitcher down. A little, come on, let's go get him.
Dodgers so close to a Game 6 they can taste it, but the Cardinals will not go down without a fight. 1 run in, 3 runs down. Kozma, the tying run at the plate. That's going to fall into right center field. Base hit. Puig is up and throwing to the plate. It's going to be late. Adams scores. And it is 6-4.
Here's that little base hit I think Mattingly was trying to defend against. And this is a really risky play here. Throwing the ball all the way to home plate. You do not want the back runners to advance to the base. And they were very lucky that they did not.
Jay stayed at second. Kozma's at first. Now it's a 2-run game, 6-4.
We asked Mike Matheny to, in one word, tell us about his Cardinals. He said, win or lose, we're relentless. And that's what they're proving here in the 9th.
Adrian Chambers has a bat. And he will pinch hit. He's 0 for 3 in the series, 0 for 4 this postseason with a couple of strikeouts. Fouled away on the first pitch, 0-1. Place was going crazy as the 9th inning began. Now it's high anxiety.
When they marched to the World Series in 2011, A-Gon Chambers had tons of big hits in September for the St. Louis Cardinals.
0-2.
Fine line here, Ronnie. You don't want to actually throw one right down the middle, but you want to take care of them when you're heading the count right now. Don't let him get back into the count where you're forced to throw that strike on a 3-2 count.
Ellis wants that cutter up.
Game 6 in St. Louis. The Dodgers hang on 6-4.
Well, this has become a relay race for the Los Angeles Dodgers. The baton was handed to Zack Greinke. It now goes to Clayton Kershaw.
And St. Louis gets the ball to the sensational Michael Wacha for Game 6 in St. Louis. 4 home runs. Ties the Dodger record for most in an NLCS game, and they needed each and every one of them. As the Cardinals battled right down to the wire in this one. 6-4. The series 3-2. Craig Sagers with Adrian Gonzalez.
Later in the single scored the first run, then added a couple of home runs. The last one of the 8th full insurance looked like you needed them all. How tight was that?
It was tight. We know they're not gonna give up. They're gonna fight to the end just like we are. And this series is only getting started. We like where we're at, and this is going to be a fun one.
You say you like where you're at. You were down 3-1. We had 2 Cy Young pitchers. Greinke did his part today. Now you have Clayton Kershaw. You still feel comfortable even though you're still down?
Yeah, they were up 3-1 last year and they lost it. So looking to do the same thing that happened last year.
Greinke retired the last 13 batters he faced. But in the first inning, first 3 guys up got on. Bases loaded jam. What did he use? How did he get out of it?
That's something you got to ask him. All we're worried about is making the plays, and he made his pitches. We made the plays, got out of it, and we were able to get a few runs support for him. And all he needed was a few runs, and he did an incredible job again.
What a different feeling from a few hours ago, last night.
Yeah,
right now.
Absolutely. We could easily be up 3-2, but we like I said, with Kersh and Rue, one of the next 2 games, we like where we're at.
All right, congratulations. See you in St. Louis. Back up to you, A.J.
All right, thank you very much, Craig. Our final score, Dodgers 6, Cardinals 4. Tune in Friday at 8 o'clock Eastern with MLB postseason pregame on TBS, presented by Jeep. For our producer, Scott Cockrell, our director, Lonnie Dale, for Ron Darling, Cal Ripken, Craig Sager, and the entire crew, this is Ernie Johnson saying so long from Los Angeles. TBS, your exclusive home for the National League Championship Series. Now stay tuned for the postseason show on TBS presented by Johnny Walker. Remember to drink responsibly. We'll see you in St. Louis on Friday.